Now, reporting directly from the hospital, I thought it would be interesting for those of you interested in that to talk a bit about the PET center and how it looks like in Turku. So this was the first PET center in Finland. They are in the 5 university hospitals, and the PET MRI machine, as mentioned in previous video, is only located here and in Helsinki. Here they have their own cyclotron, so they do the tracers, the radioligands. They manufacture them every single day themselves. The half-life of fluorodeoxyglucose is 109 minutes, so they build it in the morning. The dose that they produced for the day for, I don't know, around 15 patients was around 10 gigabecquerels, and then one patient received 207 megabecquerels, which I then calculated a bit using ChatGPT, is equivalent to 3 to 4 millisieverts, which is half of the daily dose we receive here in Europe. There are also found a map that has the doses, approximate doses that you receive in different countries, and for Finland I think it's a bit higher than for Slovenia. They mentioned that they have a lot of radon, so the gas that stays inside the houses. And how do then the PET devices look like? So they have 3 PET CT scanners. One is the long axis one, which has 106 centimeters gamma camera, and the other 2 are shorter. I guess they are around 25 centimeters. So they have to take 6 to 7 slices to image one patient. And I was surprised with PET CT. So the CT is done first, then you do the PET scan, and if you want to use also the contrast, you use the contrast. You do the contrast CT afterwards the PET scan was done due to interferences with the gamma cameras. And then the PET MRI machine is really narrow, because on the outside they told me it are the magnets, and on the inside is the gamma camera. So the tube is only 60 centimeters in diameter. It's really claustrophobic, especially when you think that you have to be inside for, well, an hour approximately. And then you also get those magnetic coils around your head, around your whole body, and it looks really, really uncomfortable. I am probably too claustrophobic to be able to withhold that. But however, then I observed the scanning procedures. It's pretty interesting how they start with the injection. With the PET CT, they wait 50 minutes after the injection of fluorodeoxyglucose to start imaging. With MRI, they start right away, because they first do the MRIs and then they do the whole MRI PET procedure. So the fluorodeoxyglucose, it's for the first patients for 207 megabecquerels. It was 0.25 milliliters of fluorodeoxyglucose diluted to be 6 milliliters of saline and then injected into the vein. It's interesting how it's carried around in the lead shield, so that the radiation doses that the personnel gets here are as low as possible. And then it's interesting, you have to stay, it's the best to stay around 2 meters away from the people, and it takes 5 half-lives that the effect of the tracer is negligible on others, so that's approximately 10 hours. But it's best to recommend them to avoid, especially kids and pregnant women, until the next day, and then it's safe to be around them. And then the imaging, it's great to see how those 2 images align. Sometimes they have to do alignment themselves, and from just the perspective of physics, it's really, really nice to see that once in your life as a medical student, how also nuclear medicine looks like, especially in a country that's has very developed health system. And what's an innovation that they do here is with CT, you have an automatic detection of attenuation. So the device calculates it automatically based on the fact that when the radioactive waves from CT, so the gamma radiation passes through, you can immediately infer from that what the attenuation is. You can approximate the attenuation also for fluorodeoxyglucose, because the tissue, the radiation has to pass through the tissue, and attenuation happens if you travel through more tissue. With MRI, you can't do that because it's not a radioactive source, but based on the images trained with AI, they wrote their own physical program that manages to estimate the attenuation coefficients that are then used for the PET scan, which is pretty darn impressive. Previously, they used to do attenuation like 20 years ago. They had this germanium rod that was emitting radiation. Based on that, knowing the distance and what it passes through, the gamma camera itself calculated what the attenuation was, and with CT it's automatically built in device, but for MRI they built it themselves. And I asked if they supply software to others. They weren't sure, but they were the first to do that, at least in Finland.